Hi guys, Paul here from PT Health Coaching. One of my colleagues, Andrea from Brilliant Horizons Lancashire, asked me to just put together a very short video to maybe highlight my five tips for staying healthy and well during the lockdown that we're currently experiencing. So I thought I'd share these with you on this little video, and hopefully you'll find at least one or two things useful to try if you're not doing them already. So tip number one is connecting with others. Something that on a day-to-day basis before the lockdown, we would have just took for granted. Whether it's your work colleagues or family members outside of the family home or members of the public, you would come into contact with people on a regular basis and you would have social contact. Now, unfortunately, that's now been restricted. So it's something that is actually really important simply because we are social beings, whether introverted or extroverted. Social contact is really important and social interaction. And the reason for that is when we were Stone Age humans, without being part of a social group, if we were isolated, it would put us at quite severe risk. So being in a group of people will help us catch food or forage for food, but also being in a group was far more protective as well. So being part of a group meant you more easily fight off a threat compared to doing that on your own. So that still stays with us to some extent, and we know that people who are isolated are more likely to suffer from long-term conditions and mental health problems as well. So a lot of people are experiencing poor mental health at the moment as a result of the lockdown. So I think it's really important that we do stay connected with others. One of the ways you can do that is to have quite a strong social calendar. So put in your calendars things that you are going to do that is maybe a social thing every single day. That might be something like a video call with a family member or a friend, and I would like you to try and do the things that you would normally do before the lockdown. So for example, if you usually have a beer with your friends on a Friday night, or you go for a coffee with your mum or a family member on a Saturday morning, still try to commit to those usual social interactions and put it in your calendar as part of your routine. And you can set that up via a WhatsApp video or a Messenger video or FaceTime or a video call on Zoom or Teams or whatever platform you want to use. But just make sure you stick to that normal contact, because that will help you get through. And it's just someone else to speak to other than your family, if you're lucky enough to have family at home, or obviously if you're on your own, it is even trickier. So I would still try and keep that social contact. One of the things I saw the other day was something called Quarantinis, which really made me laugh. So a group of girls had set up a friend's WhatsApp video call, and they had martinis or the normal cocktail or drinks that they would do if they were going out for a girls' night out, but they just called it Quarantinis and did exactly the same thing. Had a laugh, had a few drinks, and had a really good time. And I thought that was great, really good. And it's something that one of my friends has tried to do as well, and on a regular basis on a Friday evening we have a few beers and a chat and a catch up, and might even throw a quiz in there as well. So the main thing is trying to connect with others. That's the number one tip. Tip number two is staying active. A little bit trickier than perhaps what we had before lockdown. So if you were a person that used to go to a running club or go to a gym or go somewhere externally to do your exercise, that makes it a little bit trickier. If you adapt, you can do things in the home. So I've set up a few exercise videos that you can do at home, but there's loads of other people doing the same thing. If you look on YouTube, you'll find lots of different home exercise videos that you can for sort of any ability really. There are other things you can do, such as go for a daily walk or a run or a cycle. You're allowed to do that once a day, so you can actually get your exercise in, but it's just making sure you make the most of it. Now, the thing is, why is exercise so important? If the government is saying we want you to exercise every day, clearly it is important. And the main reason is exercise releases endorphins, and endorphins are feel-good hormones or chemicals that are released by the brain as soon as we start to engage in physical activity. You hear people talking about the runner's high as one of those feelings that they get when they've been running or done an intense bout of exercise, and that's because the endorphins have been released. And endorphins feel a little bit like morphine, so they kill pain and they make you feel slightly euphoric. We know that physical activity helps improve mood, so if you're feeling low, it's a really good thing to go and do. If you're feeling anxious, it just takes the edge off that. And we know it also reduces and inoculates against stress as well. So when you're hearing now that GPs are recommending regular physical activity to help with mental health issues, then we know that physical activity is probably a good thing to try and fit into your daily routine. And also, it gives you something to do every day as well. So if you've got that booked in every single day, a bit like your social calendar we talked about before, that will really help you get through this. Okay, so tip number 3 is keeping a routine. A routine is our anchor. It's the thing that grounds us. It's the thing that keeps us level, I find. Now, if you had a routine before, whether it be work or something that you had as a chore to do, what you tend to find is it gives you a sense of purpose. So it gives you a meaning to get up in the morning, and that really does help our mental health. If we feel like there's no need for us to get up, there's no need for us to get dressed, what the problem with that is, you start to feel quite low and you can slip into feeling quite depressed and low in mood. So it's really important that you keep a regular routine. I mean, there's a few ways you can do that. You can set a plan. So the night before, having a structured routine that you're going to do that day and setting time for each of those things, whether it's your social contacts you're going to do with people or your physical activity, or chores around the house, or a bit of work if you're still working from home. So those sorts of things are really important, and the sense of routine just means you've got a purpose, you've got something to get up for in the morning, and it'll just help you get through the tough days. And no matter how mundane it is, once you engage yourself in some sort of activity and purposeful activity, you generally feel better when you finished it. You get a sense of accomplishment, and it'll help you improve your self-esteem. Okay, tip number 4 is something that I've only just started myself in the last probably year or so, is regular mindfulness or meditation. How many of you can actually say that when you're doing a task, you are fully focused on that task? How many times have you caught yourself when you're in the middle of a task thinking about the thing you need to do next, or thinking about something else that you've been worrying about? It's really common. And the trick with mindfulness and meditation is the more you practice this practice, the more you start to live in the moment, I guess, and you start to focus on things a lot more compared to before, where you were sort of thinking about what you need to do next or worrying about something that happened previously. So there are a couple of free apps out there that I use regularly that I'd encourage you to do so. Number 1 is Headspace. So if you just Google Headspace or put it into your Apple Play Store or Google Play Store or whatever it is where you find your apps, have a look at Headspace. The other one is Calm, and that's a really useful one as well. Both of them have free content. They also have paid content, but you don't need to pay for some of the access to some of the things you can do. And they just have some guided meditation, mindfulness things. They also have sleep stories. They have other bits and bobs that you can work through as well. But I just find 5 or 10 minutes of that every single day helps me reduce stress, helps me become more mindful and really focus intensely on the tasks that I'm doing, which actually takes me away from some of the day-to-day worries that come with general life, I guess. So give it a go. The majority of my clients who have tried this have reaped the benefits from it. They say they feel so much better from introducing this as part of their regular routine. And what's really interesting is when you stop doing it, it still continues to work for a little bit of time, but actually the benefits start to wear off eventually. So it's really important to, even when you're starting to feel good on the back of it, to maintain that practice, because that will inoculate against future stressful situations that happen and just help keep you level and a little bit more balanced when those things come along. And then finally, tip 5 is something that I call reframing, and it's a common term that's used. I think it's really easy when you listen to the news and you see a lot of social media posts about the negative impacts of the coronavirus to feel very anxious and also feel quite stressed and feel quite low about the situation that we're all in. One of the things I try to do, and I've tried to encourage people to do the same thing, is to reframe the situation and try and see the situation as an opportunity rather than something that's been enforced upon us. And if you see it as an opportunity, you're more likely to take advantage of an opportunity and do something positive with the time that we've been given. So for most of us, we've been given the gift of time. We've been given an opportunity to do something different that we don't normally get the chance to do. And that might be spending more time with your family. That might be doing a few tasks around the house that you've been meaning to get onto, but you've just been so busy, you haven't been able to do that. It might be reconnecting with people you haven't spoken to for ages. There's loads of things you could do with this opportunity. Now, one of the ways you can reframe is, if you have worries, you have concerns, you have things that you worry about on a regular basis, what I'd like you to try and do is just write those things down for me on a sheet of paper. And then go through each of those things step by step. And what I want you to do is set up 2 columns, and in one column, have a list of things that you have some control over, something you can do and you have some control about doing. So, for example, that might be, I want to call my mum. Or it might be, I want to paint the garage. Something that you have some control over and you can actually do. And then in the other column, I want you to write the things that you have absolutely no control over whatsoever. So you don't have any influence, and actually, you can't do anything about them. So one of those things might be the coronavirus. There isn't an awful lot we can do about the situation because we've had government sanctions. So that goes into the I don't have any control of column. And then the items in the control column, so the things you can do something about, make that your to-do list. Start making it into a to-do list, things you can actively pursue and get completed and get done. And then in the other column, where you've got the I have no control over these things whatsoever, start to make that your acceptance list. Acceptance can be really liberating. If you can let go and let those worries that have been clouding your thoughts and your judgments and keeping you awake at night, if you can start to accept and let those things go because you realize you have no control over them whatsoever, then that can be really, really liberating. It can just make you feel so much more relaxed. And also, if you're getting the jobs done that you've had a bit of a worry about and you wanted to get done for a while, that's going to make you feel great as well because you're ticking off all these boxes. I've been meaning to do that for ages. I've finally got it done. So there are my 5 tips. Just a really quick recap. We've got connecting with others, staying active, keeping a routine, introducing some mindfulness or meditation, and reframing the situation. I hope these have been really useful. If you want to hear more of this stuff, I'm always posting things on my social media accounts. So I've got a YouTube channel called PT Health Coaching. If you have a look on Instagram, I'm called @PT Health Coach. On Facebook, you can find the page @PT Health Coaching. And also, if you just type in Paul Thompson on LinkedIn, you'll find me there as well. I hope you found this useful. If you've got any questions, just give me a shout. All my contacts are on there. Stay safe, look after each other, and let's get through this COVID in a positive way.